What is up, guys? Welcome to the Banks of Baseball Co podcast. I am very honored to say this is my first breakthrough episode with my good buddy Donovan Scott with Moneyball, and we are ready to get rocking and bring you guys some great content.
What's up, everybody? This is Donovan D Money Scott, and you are in for a treat this evening because I have Frank Jagoda with me. Frank is currently a pro scout with the Tampa Bay Rays, amongst other things. A little bit of a jack of all trades here, which we'll dive into in a second. But it's a pleasure to have you, man. What's up?
Hey guys, I appreciate you having me. You say jack of all trades, but master of none, let me tell you.
That's usually how it is, right?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I'm glad we were able to line this up. I have a 3-week screaming baby upstairs.
Really? Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
3 weeks old?
3 weeks old yesterday. So
Wow. Boy, girl.
little boy named Grayson, our first. So
Love it, man.
excited.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yes, absolutely. Congratulations, my friend. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, but I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Troy, if you don't mind, I'm going to start out because I'm real excited to talk to this guy. I was just down at spring training. Try to go down there, every year and catch 2, 3, 4, whatever, get as much access as I can. I got denied credentials this year with the Jays, so we'll talk about that later. But
You did.
and I always go down and I'm always kind of wondering those guys out in the stands with the notepads and the books. And tell me about life as a scout. Is it like it is on TV, or is it better? Is it worse? Like inside the life of you, really, like a day in the life.
Yeah, so it really depends. There's different levels of scouting, or different departments of scouting, I should say. I do a lot more on the pro side. So evaluating other teams, players in their organization, whether that's in the Dominican Republic, which is part of my coverage area. I also do some coaching down there with our player development group as well.
Nice.
Or here in the States, or whatever the case is. And then there's also the amateur side. And then as well as international. So it really depends on what side you're on, what group you're with. But it's I wouldn't say it's exactly like the movies, but I wouldn't say, there's some aspects of it that are pretty similar in regards to, what you're looking for in those types of things, and even sometimes how the information is shared and things like that. But the game is changing, as you all know, and
Yeah.
a lot of it for the better and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot that goes to it. A lot of time, behind the windshield driving or getting on a flight or whatever the case is, and a lot of time at a ballpark. Being a scout, you definitely have a lot of time to yourself. You could figure out how many conversations you could have with yourself and things like that.
Yeah.
So when you're a coach, which again I still do a little bit of with our player development group. But you have that camaraderie as a coach in the clubhouse, on the bus, on a road trip, or whatever the case is. A lot of people around you, things of that nature. But as a scout, it's a little bit more of a lonesome type opportunity and role. So
Absolutely.
Oh, I feel so bad for you, man. The lonely life of a scout. I'm gonna listen. The dude's got my dream job, and he's telling me how lonely he is.
No, not at all. No, don't take that one out of context.
How did you get involved with it? I mean, it truly is probably every little kid's dream job if they're not going to play professional ball, to be a scout or an agent. How'd you land where you are?
Well, so and Troy knows a little bit about my background. I started as a college coach. Started 15 years ago. A good buddy of mine, Anthony Barone, who is now a manager with the Milwaukee Milkmen and the American Association, which is an independent ball league.
Okay.
He gave me my first opportunity as a coach at Jamestown Community College. And then I moved to Buffalo, and I got an opportunity at the Division I level with Mike McCray at Canisius.
Okay.
We had a lot of success there as a group. Coach Mack and Matt Mazurk, who's the current head coach, was the assistant at the time, myself and Andrew Russo, and we spent 3 pretty good years together, won a lot of games, went to a regional, went to the Chapel Hill Regional, won a regular season title, did some really cool things, which afforded me the opportunity to get a full-time coaching job. I was there as a GA in a stipend position. And then I moved down south. My then fiance and I moved to North Carolina, where I was at Wingate University. I was the recruiting coordinator and pitching coach there. Wingate, I think 2 years ago, won the Division II national championship. So
They did.
and then from there, kind of just parlayed my experiences my master's degree and some other things into an opportunity to be a head coach at the junior college level down south in Virginia, as well as an assistant athletic director and a professor. So just did some different things, and throughout the game, just met different people, had opportunities with USA Baseball along the way, and then had some, interactions with somebody from the Minnesota Twins and was offered an opportunity. So we kind of took it as a chance then and there to, kind of shift gears and leave the college space for the time being and get to the pro side. And started with the Twins, was there for a year and a half before going to the front office of the USA Baseball. And now here I am with Tampa. So it's been a lot of moves. It's been a lot of different places and a lot of up and going, but it's all been worth it. And now we're home. So we love it. And I couldn't be more thankful for the Rays and their opportunity. It's been awesome.
What a ride.
That is great.
What a ride. I mean, incredible. And you know what I love most about everything you just said? There was no, and then I knew a guy who put me here and there. That's hard work. Like, I mean, you're saying masters and this, you're grinding, bro. Like, you're putting that work in, and I love it. It's just constantly, how can I get to the next level, next level, next level? And it's great to hear from a Buffalo guy, a Derby, because when Troy and I spoke last week, we had kind of spoke about the inopportunity or the lack of opportunity we get up here because of the weather, and we're not down. We can't play daily, and you need to be a really, really phenomenal talent, to make it from up here as opposed to down there, right? Is that fair to say?
I think it's fair to say. But we are seeing it in real time, right? Jonah Heim, we are seeing it in real time. And I think it's a testament to his hard work. It's funny, when I was at Canisius, he was in high school and I evaluated him. I recruited him, and, we didn't have a real chance at it. I think he was committed to Michigan State, or soon to commit to Michigan State. But, those were the type of players we were going after. To see him doing what he's doing now, it's phenomenal.
It's great you mentioned him, because he was supposed to be on the show 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jonah, if you're watching, 12 times. Justin with Academy Baseball.
Yeah.
Do you know Justin?
I do know Justin. Justin, actually, back in the day, I did some lessons with Justin when I was in high school. So it's a small community.
Yeah, it is. My son's playing with Academy right now. He's 10. He's playing on the 11U squad, and forged a relationship with Justin a little bit. And the first thing, obviously, having the show, let's get Jonah, World Series winner, right?
Yeah.
So he just keeps promising me every day, he's down. He wants to do it. We'll see what happens. But
yeah, well, hey, World Series winner, Gold Glove winner, and
hell of a ball player. And guess what? Sorry to cut you up, but just like you were just saying, when I kind of dipped into this new world of interviewing and channels and everything else, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And, it's hard work, a lot of no's, you get a lot of no's, you get a lot of no callback, you get a lot of everything, but the perseverance most often pays off. And I think the guy in the upper left corner here can be a testament of perseverance and no quit type attitude, right? I mean, I was, very, very impressed with Troy's resume. I'm very impressed with your resume. And Troy, this guy a little bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He's good buddies with my father, actually. So I met Frank back when I was, how old, Frank?
You were young. You were really young teenager, maybe at best.
My father always said that he was one of the best ball players he's played with.
Yeah, well, let's rewind a minute, because what was your level of playing ball?
Well, so I played at University at Buffalo, and then I finished at Gannon University. So transferred from UB to Gannon. And, I viewed it as an opportunity. So my dad played at UB. I'm from Dunkirk High School. Had a chance to be local, do the whole, the Division I thing, and that's everybody's goal and those types of things. And it was the local school. I had an opportunity, went there with a bunch of buddies that I've played baseball with my whole life. And there was a coaching change. There were some things that went on there overall. And, I said, you know what, I really want to kind of change scenes. I want to put myself in a better position academically. And I want to kind of do something a little different. So I transferred to Gannon and, then, started my coaching career shortly thereafter. So played at University of Buffalo. When Troy says I was a a really good ball player. He forgot to mention that that's playing slow pitch softball with Mickey Rats in the summertime with his. Yeah, so let's get, let's not forget. I would say my claim to fame is I hit like 998 in a tournament in a weekend, but who's counting?
You're picking on yourself when I was just about to ask you what it was like playing in the 50s and 60s. So I got to ask you though. I mean, Tampa Bay has had unbelievable talent coming through the chain there, right? You can take sole responsibility if you want, but a lot of the Dominican stuff, and I heard you touch on that earlier. Is it a lot of trips down there?
So in my role, I go once a month. Okay. So I go once a month to the Dominican, and part of what I do there is I work with our outfielders, base runners, and do a little bit of catching stuff. And then when the games start, I kind of evaluate the other team's players. Looking at young players at the academies for the other organizations and write reports and things like that. And so, really, you hit the nail on the head that we've had a lot of success and we've had it at multiple levels, obviously in the big leagues, but we've won a lot of minor league championships. I know at the end of the day, the goal is to win a World Series championship, and that will never change. But I think what we've done a really good job of is, getting to the World Series in 2020, got there in 2008 or 2009 when I was at Gannon University, actually. And what we've done really well is we've really evaluated well. We've developed players well. We've drafted well. We've just done a lot of things well as a group. And the transparency amongst our groups is top notch. We communicate at a high level. We treat each other with respect, no matter the department you're in. And it's really, truly a team effort. And obviously the goal is to win a World Series, and I don't think that will ever change. That shouldn't change. But there's many layers to that. Is it the amateur draft? Is it the pro staff and trades and acquisitions and free agents? Is it the international staff? There is no one answer. Is it player development? There's just simply not one answer. So but you're right. We've done a really good job. And hopefully we do some good things this year in the big leagues. And at the end of the day, the big leagues is what matters most. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Frank, you said that the game has changed, and obviously one of the big things is analytics. I know you go down to the Dominican Republic; they don't have TrackMans on the back of the fence. I'm assuming. So is there a little bit of that kid's a gamer, or is it really all analytics now?
Well, so most of the academies are outfitted with some sort of data tracking technologies.
Nice.
It is accessible to us, and so whether it's TrackMan or Rapsodo or whatever the case is, there is opportunities to see that data. To me, and I had this conversation with a buddy earlier today. One of the things I do on the pro side is I do a lot of independent ball coverage, which Troy, you and I have talked about. And in the independent league, some of the organizations have a lot of resources and some don't, right? And so I was having a conversation with a manager, and we talked about the same thing. The game's changing, and I explained, what data and analytics and numbers can do is, one, they can make you a little bit more efficient in regards to your teaching, right? There's feedback, there's instant feedback, from the hitting side. We think, hey, I hit that ball really hard, when all reality, you didn't. You just didn't. Or hey, all those days of us being taught to stay inside the baseball, and really, really hit the ball hard on the ground back up the middle. Well, that's great. And that's not a bad approach. And that's really probably for your 10 and 11-year-old son and young high school kids learning how to hit, probably a good approach. But at some point, the chance of success and getting on base, it minimizes, right? And so the data tracking technology, the tech, and those things kind of show us, okay, well, this is what this looks like. And what did that feel like? And so, it's changed for the better in that regard. And same thing with like pitch shaping and tunneling and those types of things. And
it's crazy. It is really.
Yeah, and and the other thing it does is it keeps scouts like myself and other people in check, right? Those days of, hey, man, he could really get the barrel to the heater. Well, that's no more, because guess what? Someone's going to log on to Synergy. They're going to toggle 93 and above or 95 and above, and we're going to really find out if that hitter could get the barrel to the heater.
Yeah, so it's numbers now. It's more than just the IDAR. You know what I mean?
Right.
Go ahead. You good?
Yeah, you're good, Don.
That's what editing is. So my question was this, man. These, especially in Dominican, I want to kind of stay focused on that. Is Junior Caminero, is he Dominican?
He is, yeah.
Okay, and Wander, obviously, right? He was Dominican. Yep. There's been, forget the off-field issues with Wander. He's a brilliant ball player. How hard is it when analytics come into the game and these guys were trained one way, whether it was from their dad or the guy that lived down the road, right? Because Dominican, obviously, it's third world and they don't have the same opportunities. When you bring in these analytics and all of these, technology machines and everything else, how hard is it for these guys to embrace it and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to listen to these scouts or listen to these guys when the old way was working for them?
Well, I think that's just not, singular to the Dominican side of baseball.
True.
Right?
No, yeah, right.
That's really anywhere, right? And players they're on a pendulum. They're right in the middle. And then you have folks on this side who are saying, hey, old school, and I don't even like that term because what does that mean? What does old school mean and what does new school mean? We don't really know.
No one knows anymore.
But when the players are in the middle and the people on each side advocating, jockeying for position and those types of things are getting the players to view one way or the other, the players kind of they're swaying back and forth. And what ends up happening is the players then don't know who to trust. And so to answer your question, it really comes down to really good communication as a coach, as an organization, as a staff. It comes down to having a little bit of feel. I was fortunate enough to in 2022, I was our bench coach in Charleston with our A-ball club, and we had Junior for 3/4 of the year.
Oh, man.
Now I work with outfielders, catchers, base runners, and so, worked with him with some base running stuff. Nothing outlandish, nothing too crazy,
Yeah.
some basics, just things and, points and reminders. But man, you could just see something special with his swing and just his ability to impact the baseball to all fields, the adjustability in his hack, all those different things. And so, maybe a coach or an organization or whoever takes a player like that and says, man, I gotta have a chance to really put my name on this guy. And one thing I think we've done a phenomenal job of is we haven't done that, right? We've let the kid go play baseball, man.
Right.
And the one thing the data and the technology does is there's baseline skill set that gets you in the door. Right? And then from there, you're able to kind of shape and mold and those types of things to enhance those present skills. And so whether that's, hey, and it's scalable, right? And do you do it at 16, 17 when you're at the academy or in rookie ball here in Florida or Arizona? Or do you wait till they're in low A or high A and those things? And that's an organizational, that's organizational dependent. That's their choice on when they start to implement certain changes. But really good organizations like ours is we do a good job of having a process.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is what you learn, at the lower levels and the information that you have and the process then shifts a little bit when you get to high A, then it shifts when you get to double A.
Yeah.
Then, by the time you're in double A, you're a call away. Everyone, a lot of people say you're in triple A, you're a call away, but if you're in double A, you're squarely on the big league club's radar.
100.
So,
wow.
At that point, when you're in double A, you need to know your routine and you need to know what you kind of need to know.
Just a few weeks ago being down, and I love, listen, I'm a tried and true Atlanta Braves fan. I bleed Braves, but I love watching the Baltimore Orioles right now. And I think there is no better testament to scouting. Tampa Bay's right up there. So listen, that's, you're right up there. And what I like about Tampa Bay and Baltimore and Arizona now, right? Cactus League, so I don't get to see it as much, but these aren't huge market teams, right? And let's be honest, the same resources aren't there. Like the Braves, I love my Braves, man, but unlimited resources essentially, right? Yankees, Red Sox, and seeing players, come like what Baltimore's been able to do, and I don't know if you want to comment on it at all, but I mean, they got a kid, Colby Mayo, who's just been absolutely shredding it. This kid is in my opinion, I can't believe he's not on the roster now because he's going to be incredible. Right from, Jackson Holiday, Kyle Stowers, who's the other one I'm thinking of? Colton Cowser that just he's playing on the club now, right? And yes, they were bad for so many years that they kept getting these draft picks. But then once you get the pick, you still need to be picking out just like anything. Hey, is this kid a troublemaker? Is this guy a cancer in the locker room, right? Is this guy this, right? And can you, get into that a little bit with as far as baseball's one thing, but then mentality and how much work goes into kind of, getting inside the head of these kids?
Well, and that's the biggest thing, right? Like I mentioned a few moments ago, there's a baseline talent. Or a baseline level of skill, I should say. And that baseline level of skill gets you on a radar, right? It gets you on a list. It gets you in front of the right people, for the most part, right? And sometimes guys go unseen and uncovered and those types of things. That happens, right? But you're right. You hit the nail on the head. Is how do you dig in deep? How do you find what makes a kid tick? How do you find what works for that player specifically? Again, I'm not going to comment too much about what the Baltimore Orioles are doing and their processes, but you're right. There's good people over there. I've known Matt Blood, the assistant GM and farm director, for a long time. One of their big league hitting coaches, Matt Borg-Schulte, we worked together with the Twins in 2018, 2019. Great dude. There's good, there's a lot of hard workers over there, a lot of baseball guys that have done such a good job, and they've really taken to what they've done. And similar to us, when you have those picks and, whether it's resources or whatever the case is, you still have to, you have to be right. Whether you're the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Braves, or the Rays, or whoever it is, it doesn't matter. You have to do your absolute best, do your due diligence, turn over every stone, find as much information on players as you can. And that's one thing our group, specifically on the pro side, the amateur side, and the international side, we've done a really good job of. And again, it's just a lot of hard work. It's a testament to our leaders, our leadership group, and those people. And and there's been a long line of a lot of Tampa Bay, I call them lifers, that have been here for a long time, that have kind of passed the torch on to a different group. And they're taking guys like us and teaching us and giving us opportunities. And so you're right. There's just so much that goes into it, and it includes, it's beyond the field, right? The field stuff kind of takes care of itself.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
you mentioned that like you don't want guys hearing two things, right? Do you guys have a uniform coaching style where it's the same in single A as it is in double A, triple A? Is that kind of how that works?
Yeah. So we have, we have some things that we believe in. We have our pillars that we think are important from a hitting side. We have some things that we think are important from a defensive side or a pitching side or what have you. And, that's the job of the coordinators to institute their philosophies, right? Put their philosophies in place. And everything's a little bit different. I think from the hitting perspective, we have a really good group of hitting coaches. Kyle Wilson and Will Bradley, they do a great job. Steve Livesley, those, our coordinators, they do such a phenomenal job of, empowering our coaches, allowing our coaches to be who they are, all while, following the ingredients of what we deem important. And same thing on our pitching group. Our pitching group has just been phenomenal for such a long time. And
oh man, it really has.
And they're great. They're like a well-oiled machine. It's fun watching them work, especially at like a spring training environment where there's 9,000 coaches and a million players.
Yeah, I don't like it because you guys are the ones bringing up all these phenomenal pitchers, and then 2 years later, the Yankees have them or the Dodgers have them, bro. I mean, come on, Tyler Glasnow,
Glasnow, big one,
right?
Yes,
right.
There.
I mean, that's just unacceptable.
Hey, you
got to have the money to keep them, right? I mean, and
well, that's part of it. And again, I can't get too much into some of that stuff.
I'm not asking you to.
Yeah, it's all part of it. It's part of the operation. And at the end of the day, the players that are now in our organization from some of those moves are part of our next wave of big leaguers. And it's really cool to see that process take shape.
Frank, I'll tell you what. I mean, it's very easy to see how you've gotten where you've gotten. And I don't mean that. No, I truly mean it, man. Just very, very well spoken and knowledgeable. It's not only just answers to the questions, but then the insight. Like it's very, very easy for me to see, and trust me, like they got something. They got a secret weapon on their hands, man. I do want to ask. I want to ask one more thing, and then Troy, if you want, you can finish us up. We don't want to keep this guy all night here, right?
Yeah.
This is Troy's first up. This is Troy's first episode. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, no,
you're doing a good
job. I love the information, man.
I should have dancing girls in the back and like somebody riding an elephant or something.
Next one, we're gonna have it all ready to go.
All right, maybe you'll fix that background too.
Yeah, or blur.
So what
I've been in Florida all week.
Okay. All right. Wouldn't be a fun show if I didn't rib on you, little bro. So
No, you're good.
One last question that I have, and you may or may not, well, you could definitely give insight to this. But what I've noticed over the last couple of years, even people as stubborn as Ronald Acuna are willing to I guess they're willing to kind of look in the mirror and look and see what's working and what's not. Right now, I would think that would be the most difficult thing to do for an MVP type caliber player to look and say, somebody's telling me I need to tweak my swing a little bit, right? Like I batted, I was hitting 320 last year. They said, and I worked on my swing all year, and they said I could. It's amazing to me, right? And it seems like they're receptive to it now, as where, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, these guys would be like, dude, no, I'm the superstar. Don't tell me how to adjust my swing. Do you notice that at all? Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, I think that's just the desire to be great, right?
Yeah.
It's the desire to not be complacent, and it's the desire to be one of the best in the world at all times.
Yeah.
Also, I would say, and credit and kudos to the coaches out there that are able to get that type of buy-in from a superstar type player, right? It's about the approach. It's about the timing of comments or maybe coaches,
Great point. That's
pieces
a
of
great point.
advice and those things. And sometimes, and I've been guilty of it, right? We all have as coaches, sometimes you talk to a player and the timing wasn't great. I mean, we've all been there. But I do think that the biggest piece to coaching and really any advice to young coaches out there that may listen to this is, you get punched out, you have a 5-pitch at bat, you take 2 bad swings, you look at strike 3, and the first thing, and you're don't even have your helmet off yet. You got coach asking you what this was going on. You got a player asking you what it was. It's like you got 3 people talking to you. And, some players like that. And the players who like it, they'll let you know, yeah, I'm good to have this conversation now. And the players who don't, well, you know what? Like there's that side of it too. And so as much as there's player buy-in, there needs to be coach buy-in.
Yes.
Right. And that's a big part of it. Right. And you know what? You'll still see some guys that will say, hey, look, like this works for me.
Yeah.
I'm not really gonna change it. I'm, 29 years old, and I don't have a ton of runway left or whatever the case is. I don't have the answer or but there's some examples of that out there where it's like, look, like I've been doing this a long time. You've never seen my swing.
Yeah.
And here we are. And there's a spot, there's a time and a place and a spot for coaches to jump in and offer a hand. And a lot of times, professional baseball is also about people management, right? You're dealing with people.
Of course it is. Yeah. And you're selling yourself, right? I mean, you need to sell yourself to these young kids and they need to trust you. It's just like anything else, right? So
so I'm gonna push back a little bit on selling yourself, because at the end of the day, it's about genuine relationship. And I think if you're able to develop genuine relationship and you care more about the person, you have to care about the ball player. You just have to. It's your job. But if you collect enough coins and you learn about the person as much as possible, and then you kind of let things organically shape and take place, then all of a sudden when you have something that is meaningful, they're going to know it's coming from your heart. It's coming from a good place.
Love that. Love that.
If you are sitting here and you have a swing adjustment or a mechanical adjustment here or there every single day or multiple times a day, even, I mean, it's, that's possible too. It just could sometimes be overwhelming. And you could really, as a player, young player, a prospect, a bonus baby, what have you, it doesn't matter what, whatever term you want to use, right? Like you could kind of get the vibe and feel that, man, someone's trying to really rubber stamp me here and put their name and ride my coattails. And you don't want that as a coach. You don't want that.
A lot of coagulants.
Yeah. It's about genuine relationships.
Yeah.
No,
that's a phenomenal answer, man.
That is a great answer. But I'm just wondering if you're seeing a direct correlation between these kids' success and kind of their buying into the program and the topics that you're talking about.
Well, I think it depends, right? Because there's a lot of guys, there's a lot of young big leaguers right now, right? There's a lot of really good players like 25 and younger, right? And they're part of this kind of new wave, new age.
22 and younger.
Yeah, 20. Yeah, and And part of it is too, and there was a really, really good article in The Athletic not too long ago. I wish I remember the title of the article and who wrote it. I apologize, I do not. But what it talked about is that, so I benefited from the wave of college coaches jumping into pro ball. I came in the same year as like Kai Correa, Casey Dykes, Matt Borg-Schulte, those guys. We were college coaches. We came into pro ball, different organizations, certainly not together, but at the same year, the same wave, right? And there's many examples, and I just use those guys as one, right? And I benefited from that. And some organizations ripped the Band-Aid off and just kind of went one direction, data analytics all in, brand new like subset of coaches with different types of backgrounds. And then it was like out with the old, in with the new. And it was like, some organizations are still recovering from that. Maybe. Some organizations found the blend, the right mentalities, the hard workers, the growth mindset folks that also have, the ability to kind of adapt and adjust and those different things. And, every organization jockeys for position and tries to find their niche and what they could do to take advantage. And whether it's for a year or two or three before the industry catches up, that's sports, that's life, that's baseball. It is what it is. So to answer your question, Troy, I do see a correlation, but I also see that correlation with the people who are then now teaching that stuff, right?
Yeah, interesting.
Because they were inundated in that.
Yeah. That's great to hear.
So
what is it? Sorry, Don.
Go ahead.
So now that you're kind of been there for a while and you see yourself being there for a longer while, I assume, is it make it your job easier to do better? Are you able to, relax, focus on the things you need to, and do your job at a higher level?
Yeah, I think that's a fair question. I think the answer to that is it depends, right? So when I go evaluate a AAA series, which I have coming up here soon, right? Those players have played for so long. There's so much information. We're getting different types of looks on those guys, right? We're looking to see, where are they present day? Where are they in regards to, could they help a big league club tomorrow, right? Could they play in the big leagues tomorrow? And there's just so much information out there on them that it's more of a heat check, a status check, and then also too, there's the younger player who hasn't been evaluated as much, and you get a kind of a full report on that guy. But it depends on the setting, right? So when I go to evaluate an independent ball player, that's to me is like a really, really true hybrid of amateur and pro. They're pro ball players. They're getting paid to play. It's what they do for a living. But depending on the league, depending on the age of that player, you're still looking for a little bit of projection or not, right? So there's a true kind of hybrid blend on the independent ball side, in my opinion. So I do think it makes your job a little easier, but like I said earlier, it also checks you, right? Like you're going to sit and say, hey, he's 94, 95. He's got to be 94, 95. You can't fabricate and you can't cook the books anymore, like some people have, college coaches alike, right? We all know who those coaches are. And so you have to be true. And like I said, like especially like amateur scouts, right? With how prevalent synergy is, you could say, hey, like he struggles on this, and you could just go into synergy, toggle it out, and just look at the last 100 pitches or 100 swings with that metric put in. So, same thing with all of our, other databases that we have and those type of things. So it depends. I wouldn't say it makes it harder or easier, but I do think it allows you to focus a little bit more on the inner workings of the player and the person, for sure.
Frank, I got to ask, how old are you?
37.
Okay. So very, very well spoken, like I said. And I mean, I'm kind of sitting back and absorbing a lot of this because my coaching right now is my 10-year-old son, right? And my 8-year-old son, and I have a 4-year-old son, right? And
look at you.
Well, yeah, man, three baseball boys, but welcome to the world of parenting now. Is this your first?
It is our first. I am smack dab in the middle of welcome to the world of zero sleep.
Are you not sleeping? Is it tough?
Not much, and not a ton right now. Yeah.
I gotta knock on whatever. I was very, very blessed, man. And all my kids somehow, I don't know, Trish maybe drugged them, but they all slept through the night, man. And
That's
It
great.
gets better. Trust me, it gets better. Now, obviously, when you saw that baby, man, it was it changes
it's awesome.
instantly. It's so, Troy, it's so hard to describe what it is when you see this child, but it's the best feeling in the world, better than hitting the knockoff grand slam, bro. So,
Yeah.
but this has been an awesome conversation just to get, because I'm absorbing a lot of the stuff that you're saying. Not so much even the scouting, but the coaching perspective of it, because you bring a lot of that with your experience. And I'm like, I never thought of that, or I never thought of that, So very, very cool. Troy, you have anything else for Frank?
No, it's obviously just that he's supposed to be in the position he is. He's a very intellectual guy. It's impressive to listen to him and hear what he has to say. I mean, it's good stuff. So I appreciate you coming on, Frank. It's been a good time.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much again, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.